So this weekend we had weather in the upper 50s. It was almost 60 degrees outside. I went to bed last night. And I woke up to this. I actually hadn't run the furnace in like 3 days. Now we've got to feed it. So we can keep the house warm. Even with the weather being as wacky as all this, I'm still thinking of spring. But before I can begin my afternoon tasks, I have a few little housekeeping things I must do. Things like walking Monty on the property in the snow. There are no rabbits in there right now. There are no rabbits in there right now. Okay, there may be rabbits in there right now, but come on, come on. One of the challenges of working out in the garage is that you have to make a lot of trips in order to get work started. Right now I'm carrying my hydro feed. I'm very excited about this. It's part of my irrigation so that I can do things like foliar sprays and soil drenches through my irrigation system, which is kind of exciting. I've mentioned before that I'm excited about this thing. Hydro sprayer. Water. More water. My production list as far as flowers go today is pretty short. But my production list as veggies go is really substantial. So here's the story. I don't intend to just start my seeds for my garden. Although my garden's about to get a little more substantial than it already is because we've decided to incorporate other parts of our yard into the vegetable garden. But that being said, this is not about my garden, this is about my business. And one of the things that I need to do is increase my visibility. And one of the ways that I want to do that is to kind of send a message to everyone saying, hey, I'm here, I'm Miranda, I grow things, I have a farm. And the way I intend to do that is a limited seed sale. We already have to have a yard sale this year because we have a lot of stuff that we don't really need from when we moved. And I figured if I could just set out a table of seedlings and get them out in front of people, that would be a good first step. It would also allow me to meet some new people and get to know members of my community. And one of the major components that is part of our mission statement for this farm is to be integrated in the community, to weave ourselves into the fabric of the local culture, the local color, of Mount Pleasant and Central Michigan. This is why when I started broccoli and cabbage and kale, I didn't just start a few plants. I started whole packets worth of plants because I have an abundance of seeds that they aren't gonna do me any good just sitting there. Why not put them to good use? That being said, I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on this because the more hours I put into it, the more it cuts into my overhead. So we're going to bulk seed the majority of our tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, artichokes, our warm weather plants. We're gonna get those started early so that by the time the end of April rolls around and we're getting close to our first frost-free days, they'll be ready to go into the ground. And they'll be nice and vibrant and healthy, and people will go, wow, that girl really knows what she's doing. We hope. We hope she really knows what she's doing, or this will all end in disaster. Since I have an abundance of varieties, we're going to be sowing them bulk style in these little 6-cell trays that fit 6 to a 10-20 tray, which means I can get 36 different varieties of peppers, tomatoes, what have you, into one tray. And since they're warm weather plants, I've turned on the germination station in hopes of giving them a kick. I've learned that it doesn't work so well with a lot of my cooler plants. It's great for some things, it's not so great for others. That's one of the beautiful things about learning. You get to make mistakes and try again. And the goal is to do this and not lose money, and maybe make a little. Again, it's really more of a marketing thing. It's a loss leader. It's like, hey, I'm here, I have eggs, I'm gonna have these things in the summer, stop by. Come see my chickens. Just don't touch them. What's really cool about this is this allows me to get a head start on my seed starting too, because I can just go pick out what I want to plant. It's a win-win. I decided to do 2 little cell trays for each type of pepper. And these are just my sweet peppers. I have 6 different kinds of sweet peppers. I have a lot of other kinds of not sweet peppers and really, really hot peppers, which we'll probably do one of each of those. We're gonna spray the tops of the cell trays with a little water so that it's a little damp. Excuse me. And so the seeds stick to it, but we will ultimately water from the bottom. Make sure that's a nice little mist. I can honestly say I am not a huge fan of this potting soil. It's very, I mean, it is a seed starting mix, it's a sterile seed starting mix, but it's not my favorite. I would never try to make soil blocks or anything out of this. There's just there's no organic matter, which, you know, it's sterile, but it's sterile. Meaning it is devoid of life. All right, so we have the sweet chocolate, the giant Chinese giant, and the Yolo Wonderbell, of which I don't have very many. And you just sprinkle them lightly onto their cell. And give them a little bit of space so they don't grow up into each other. And I just missed everything again, so it's kind of seeded in the soil. And once this whole tray is planted, I will throw on some of my damp rid soil on top to bury them and to prevent dampening off because they're going to go into the germination chamber. So each little cell thing, each little cell, not just a cell thing, each little cell is getting about 10 to 12 seeds in it, which means at a germination rate of about 50%, I'll see about 12 plants. And since we'll only use about 2 in our garden of each variety, that means I'll have like 10 to sell, assuming they survive that long. I actually have a pretty good track record with seed starting as long as the cats aren't involved. When the cats get involved, there's terrible, terrible tomato-based trauma. I've actually started bulk seeding some of my other plants because it is so quick and you get really good results. The hardest part comes later, which is putting them into their individual cell trays or whatever you put them into. But I kind of feel like if they don't germinate, then you're not out a lot of time. This is especially true of like with older seeds. And I actually had a pack of 3-year-old bachelor buttons that I bulk sowed, and they're coming up. So I'll be able to put them in a cell tray and I'll have more bachelor buttons for both my vegetable garden and my flower farm. I just had those seeds lying around. I'm trying a new seed company. It's called Garden Basics Heirloom Seeds, non-GMO. So Gardener's Basics, they really are pretty basic. This is a sweet California Wonderbell pepper. What I like about them is they give you the Scoville units on the back of each of the envelopes of peppers. So I know now that a Anaheim pepper has a 500 to 2,000 Scoville units, and a Serrano has a 10,000 to 23,000. Just kind of the more you know. Maybe when I make my salsa this year, I'll tell you the story about how I know how hot Serrano peppers are. It was painful. Next time I'll use a food processor. Doing a lot of these basic bell peppers because I have a feeling they're going to be pretty popular because they're pretty basic. Some people are scared of the scary things. They're scared of the unknown. Why do I want a giant Chinese bell pepper? I don't know, why wouldn't you? So we have jalapenos, we have Cayenne, we have yellow habanero and hot habanero. They're both hot. They're both hot. One just happens to be yellow, the other one turns orange and then red. This is the potting soil I really like. It's a combination of compost, worm castings, a little bit of peat moss, some vermiculite, no, perlite. It's a really nice, balanced soil, and my plants really seem to like it. And unfortunately, my hardware store has discontinued it, so I don't know what I'm going to do next year. I'm going to all the hardware stores around me and buying up as much as I can for this season. I've bought everything that my local hardware store has. I'm going an hour away from here to get the rest, to get another 20 bags of it because I really just, I love it. It's moist, it holds water really well, but not too well. It's just the perfect potting mix. I'm gonna make this a two-parter because holy cow, it's been a lot of seed starting. But just to show you that this technique really works, I started this German chamomile. On Wednesday, and it is poppin'. So it germinates really, really well, and I'm gonna let these guys are gonna grow for about 2 or 3 weeks before I can transplant them up because they're so teeny, teeny, tiny. It's great because I can water them from the bottom, so they're little, they can, you know, not get drowned by copious amounts of water on top of them. And once they've gotten bigger, we will prick them out and put them into individual cell trays. And I believe chamomile is perennial here, so they'll come back next year. I find because of the depth, the cups just work better than the little trays. The trays I was using do. Thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe, and let's stick around and see how this garden grows.